Travis Hightower here with the Slava Heroyam podcast. Episode 3 is pre-recorded because I was speaking with Michael Scolari, who resides currently in Odessa, Ukraine. He's the co-founder, along with last week's guest, Ben Cook, of the Ukrainian Assistance Organization. We talk about that organization. We talk about his roots from the Silicon Valley in California. As always, we face a little bit of propaganda, and we learn his firsthand experience of the last 9 years of living in Ukraine, and especially what he's dealt with as this conflict continues to draw on. This episode will be on Glory to the Heroes podcast on Spotify, and will also be available on the Slava Heroyam YouTube channel. Enjoy the episode, and we'll see you next week with another guest. So we're talking to Michael Scolari. I hate getting names wrong.
Yeah, that works. That's good.
Anyway, so you were telling me about you've got a tech background, and you run the Ukrainian Assistance Organization. Are you trying to use that tech background to help the organization, or are you also thinking you also have a company that will help the war effort?
Well, they could help. Actually, yeah, I think they greatly could help the war efforts. But that's not my intent, nor is it their intent. Their intent, actually, the CEO founder is a former professor. He wants to give this AI platform to education for free. He thinks it's really important that we educate kids on tech and AI and make it safe for them. That's a big thing, is make it kid safe, right? So he's got an emphasis in there, but it is used in a lot of different applications. Most of it's commercial so far, but they are talking with a number of people involved in industry. Like 27 years in technology. I'm actually working for an AI startup right now because I'm sick and tired of begging the UN and all the big international NGOs for money. So this opportunity came up that I can fund this thing myself and not go crawling to these internationals all the time for money. So they're actually talking to Northrop right now. They're actually DoD approved. They're running on U.S. naval ships, doing a lot of simulation and lots of other things. So it's a pretty interesting technology, actually. But my idea is to self-fund what we're doing here. People are getting tired of the war. People are getting tired of funding. We've had one organization that's funded us, been fantastic. I don't know if Ben mentioned it to you, but it's called Blue Check. It's founded by Liev Schreiber, the Hollywood actor. He's a Sabretooth in the Marvel superhero guys. Really well-known actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been fantastic. They've been so easy to work with. Initially, they did, unlike the big NGOs who don't seem to want to do the work, they did a real due diligence to find out about us. And they said, okay, they started with a small project, and they've been fantastic ever since. It's been 3 years.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that there's been kind of blocks from international organizations.
Yeah. UAO, our group is we're a partner in the UN Health Cluster, the UN WHO Health Cluster. Anybody involved, Ukraine registered or internationally registered NGO can participate. It's kind of a partner program with the UN, the WHO. We got one very small grant from them. They talk all the time about localization. I just got an email from them yesterday about localization. They've been talking about that for 3.5 years. And they don't do a very good job of localization. It's sort of interesting for me. My background is tech, which I think is the most competitive environment in the world, to come to Humanitarian, which is one of the most uncompetitive. They talk about localization, which is getting money to the actual people who need the help. Any study they've done, they put out data again recently, maybe less than 2% of the money donated gets actually to the people who need help. So UAO, our whole pitch has been, we go to the very frontline villages. We were just in Kherson Oblast last week. There's no doctors. There's no pharmacies. We kind of over time have evolved into doing mostly prescription medications because the little babushka up in that village has high blood pressure and she needs this medicine. She doesn't need a generic first aid kit from the WHO, which is what they had us do. She needs her medicine, her prescription meds.
Yeah.
So we've done that. And that's the same with your granny or my granny, anybody, right? They have high blood pressure. They have diabetes. They have whatever. They need exactly what they need in the proper dosage and everything else.
Yeah.
So literally nobody does. The only group that does a little bit of that is MSF, the Doctors Without Borders, who are fantastic people. They're a big organization, but they're literally the only bigger group we see when you go past Mykolaiv. You don't see any of the other guys because it starts to get dangerous. and they don't go there. The MSF, the Doctors Without Borders people, they go there. We see them. They usually drive 2 at a time with their flags flying outside, and they do good work. But the other guys, we don't really see.
Oh, yeah. So you're really up there on the front lines. I talked to Ed's friends who sends surgeons. I don't know if you've met any of them.
What's the group name?
Ed's Friends, EDS
Oh,
Friends.
is that the name of it? No, I've not even heard of that.
Okay.
We did that originally. I had 2 doctors from the Mayo Clinic. If you Google the best hospitals in the world, Mayo's number 1. I had 2 Mayo Clinic doctors. We did house calls. We went right to the homes of people who were totally bedridden. But after a year, the Ukrainian government specified you can't use foreign doctors anymore, so we had to stop. That's when we went to prescription medications.
Oh,
yeah.
I hadn't heard that. Why did they say they can't use foreign doctors anymore?
They said they weren't Ukraine certified, so they wouldn't allow it. So one of my doctors works with the military now. She's actually with a special forces group. And the other one's here in Odessa right now. He's looking to get a gig, but he's not had anything yet.
Oh, okay. How long does it take for them to get Ukraine certified?
I think it's a long process. I think it's almost like medical school again. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's fairly long.
Wow. So you've really got to be able to fund surgeons there first if you can. I was looking for, let's see. I'm at the same time I'm talking to you, I'm looking for, there's a list of all the different organizations that are involved that are legit, because people have questions over legitimacy and that kind of thing. There's I've come across, there's donations to the Project Volunteer, which is an organization that helps the Foreign Legion soldiers because of their travel, their back and forth to Ukraine, because none of that is covered. So a lot of folks are kind of giving up if they're U.S. veterans, they're giving up their life savings to come fight, that kind of thing. Have you ever? I'm just curious how interconnected the network of different support organizations are.
It can be connected. There are some guys here in Odessa, American guys, as a matter of fact, come in every once in a while, every 2-3 months. One of them in particular buys a lot of drones, and he goes right up, delivers them to frontline special forces guys. Really well connected, done fantastic work. There's another guy who does not as much, but does good work. So there's definitely guys like that. And if they're here in Odessa, I know them. Some of them go to Kyiv, and they don't come down here as much. Maybe they're going to Kharkiv and Sumy and some of those, Zaporizhia, some of the other areas. But it depends on where they're going and who they're helping. But there are some really good guys that are. And again, this goes back to what I talked about earlier about localization. There are people, a lot of Ukrainian NGOs, small NGOs that do great work, right? But they're not the big, well-known guys who have big salaries and big fat per diems and everything else. There's a lot of people doing great work here.
No, I believe that. I don't know what it's like as far as the logistics of everything, because with you running one of these organizations, you and does Ben run it mostly stateside, or?
Yeah, Ben runs stateside. I do everything over here.
Okay, so that makes sense. And it sounds to me like everybody sort of works mostly independently, but they also communicate a little bit. I'm just wondering if that would.
Yeah, they're not so much independent. We have 2 really good partners. I mentioned Blue Check. It's fantastic. Their concept is replacing the top 2 layers in the humanitarian business, right? The United Nations and the big internationals, because these guys do great work. They're great at raising money. They actually run a big group. In fact, the leader there is former Doctors Without Borders guy, and they run a group called Robin Hood in New York City to help feed the poor and take care of people that are needy. So they do fantastic work there. They do that work here. The other group we work with is called Nonviolent Peace Force. It's sort of a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. concept of trying to change things peacefully. And they're based out of Switzerland. They also do a lot of work with us because another area we've gotten into is inclusion. But here inclusion is to programs for disabled people. So blind, hearing impaired, disabled one sort or another. So we've engineered some of the first programs, excuse me, for that here and continuing to do. In fact, we're being nominated for some international award for inclusion for helping people with disabilities. So I think, they don't have the infrastructure and the things we have in the United States. So they're just starting to get on board with some of that. So we help a lot of groups, a lot of schools, a lot of people that are for disabled, blind, whatever, handicapped it may be. So a lot of the guys work kind of interconnectedly, but it's typically big organizations send the money down to people who are actually doing the real work, right?
Right.
The WHO grant that we got was specified we had to be within 20 kilometers of the river. So, I mean, it was dangerous, right? It was hard hit areas. And we were supposed to go there today, as a matter of fact, but we work a lot with the government and the administrators, and they said, it's really, really hot right now. Don't come.
Yeah.
So,
The first time ever, if you're talking about Kherson,
yeah,
it is under drone siege. So they're trying to bomb the bridges. They're trying to patrol with drones the in and outs of the city.
yeah,
This is what's been going on there. That has come up in the screenings of the documentary,
yeah.
and it's getting worse. So yeah, I'm not surprised to hear you say that. In fact, that was going to be my next question: is can you even get in there recently?
Well, I can't. I'm maybe the only director here of a Ukrainian NGO, American director.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe 6 months ago, they said no foreigners can go into Kherson Oblast. So not
Mm-hmm.
just the city. The city has been really dangerous for a while now. Now, this
Mm-hmm.
today was Kherson Oblast, so it's one of the little villages. It could be an hour away from Kherson City, but even
Yeah,
that, it's taken a lot of artillery fire, a lot of drones. It's just really, really dangerous right now.
yeah, and that's sad to hear. The reason I was asking about the logistical questions is because one of the pieces of propaganda that you often find out there is, oh, if I give to Ukraine, or if the U.S. gives money to Ukraine, it's just going to corrupt officials and this sort of thing. But to hear you talk about the way it really works with all these organizations, I'm hoping that will alleviate some concerns of some of my listeners who I hope this reaches.
Yeah, I think people need to do their homework a little bit. There are
Mhm.
sites that rape the charities, right?
Mhm.
We've all grown up with, oh, I'll give to the UN, I'll give to the Red Cross. It's probably not the most
Mhm.
efficient use of your money.
Yeah.
So, but there are a lot of really good organizations that are helping. So they need to, as I mentioned, Blue Check, the guys who have smart people that are doing the hard work and the due diligence to find. Blue Check, I think, funds a number of NGOs here. All of them doing fantastic work. So there are a number of groups they can donate to like that are doing fantastic work, that use the money very wisely.
Mhm. Were you supplying? Were you trying to get humanitarian assistance in starting with the conflicts in 2014 or?
No, I came here on a tech gig. I was actually
Oh,
senior
okay.
director for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and I came here because we had a development center here. But when the war started, kind of sitting around, nothing to do, and I started volunteering and started delivering food. And the more places I delivered food, I'd see some little granny sitting in a bed that hadn't been up out of that bed for 2 years. And
Mhm.
that's when I first had the idea that maybe we should get a doctor in here and go see these people because nobody's helping them, right? So that's kind of how we started.
Oh, okay. Everything starts real simple. Sometimes you expect a big, complicated story of finding investors and this sort of thing,
Yeah.
but all it takes is a little bit of will, um, and that's what I'm finding. So,
Yeah. And it was all
uh,
friends and family at first. So, who donated money. It really got us going. And I hired one person and then another. And now we have like 8 people all Ukrainians who do amazing work. I mean, these women who work, they're all women at my organization. They go out to these frontline villages and they're not afraid. And, the women can leave the country too. They're not leaving, they're staying, and they're putting themselves in harm's way. So it's really inspiring to see that. It's quite a team.
yeah, no, it is. We talked to a woman who happened to have left, but she's with the Ukraine Chamber of Commerce, and she's from the East Bank of Kherson, and her
Yeah.
mother's still there, um, fighting good fights. So she may be one of the people who might need a doctor sometime soon. And I don't,
Maybe we help.
yeah,
Maybe
um,
80% of the people that are still there are women over the age of 50.
hmm
So it's their home. They don't know any better. They don't know where to go. Who's going to help them? Who's going to take care of them? So they just stay. I don't know how they do it. It's some of these places we go where they're under artillery fire. Wow, it's something else.
it was really interesting to see that Kherson, the people there, there are 65,000 people, as I understand, but their life goes on underground um, fairly well. Nobody wants to have an underground mole person life or something or anything like that, but they find a way to not
Yeah,
give up.
yeah.
That's one thing I found inspiring about that story. What's it like in Odessa? Is it similar to Kyiv, where you have nightly airstrikes and?
Yeah, it's really surreal. I just posted this because it's the only beach area in Ukraine now that's available for Ukrainians. So there's a lot of Ukrainian tourists here. And during the day, they're all out and the beaches are crowded and the restaurants are crowded. But when the sun goes down, and it's usually later, a lot of times it's 1 or 2 a.m. and the sirens go off and it gets, uh, I just had a drone hit about 40 meters from me. I recorded it actually. It's pretty scary because you
Oh.
hear them screaming in and then boom, just this big explosion. So depending on where you are, and I just moved about 4 days ago, but I lived on Primorsky, which is the first street above the port, which is the port was where a lot of the defensive guns are and oftentimes the target. So
Hmm.
I really had front row seat to a lot of that. That's just pretty big. It's 1 million people. You could be out and it would be, oh yeah, I didn't really hear too much. I heard most of it just about every time, right? Because it was right up close.
Were you in Odessa for the first days or weeks of the invasion?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Was I suppose at one point Odessa was threatened, but they
Yeah,
never made it there. So,
they got almost to Mykolaiv. When you go out
mhm,
of Mykolaiv, it's maybe 20 or 30 kilometers to no man's land. So it's
mhm.
really eerie. I could show you again videos of going down these little dirt roads that have, when we first went down, they had all these white tags going down the road. And I looked at it and I said, what the hell is that? And then I said, the mining guys have been here. They tagged all that to show that it's clear, right? So
Mhm.
they've been all over. I heard somewhere there's more mines here than anywhere in the world right now. So that's right
Yeah.
where it's not far from Mykolaiv, where that most of that is.
Yeah, one of the pieces of equipment of many that Ukraine needs is demining equipment, and there was a big push for that in 2023 when they were doing the summer counteroffensive because uh, that's how you have an offensive in this situation is you got to have well armed deminers to even get through the defensive lines.
Yep.
Um, how well do you feel like Odessa and your Ukrainians follow the tactical situation um, in Ukraine? Like, do they have they heard about this? There was a small there was a it wasn't as bad as some media made it out to be, but there was a recent breach of the front line by the Russians, for example, which
Yeah.
could have
Yeah.
become worse, but it didn't.
Yeah. Right.
I just wonder if that makes local news, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's whole Telegram channels dedicated, you know, instant up to date maps and briefings and everything else. So a lot of guys, I stopped following it because there's so much war stuff. It's like I'm just not going
Right.
to follow it every day. It just drives you crazy. It's just focus on the work that we have to do. But there's a lot of that. Yeah, they get the latest and everything.
Well, that's anywhere, but I guess what I'm getting at is imagine instead of worrying about I don't know, the Epstein files, that you're worried about an invading army getting through all the time. So
Yeah, or a
I
drone dropping
constantly,
on your head.
yeah, I constantly try to remind Americans, at least on this show, to try to imagine that. So,
Yeah,
but
and honestly, it's getting a little old. It's been 3.5 years.
mhm.
3 weeks ago, one of my women that worked for me was killed in a little village, uh, and
Oh,
that was a hard one.
I can't see it now. I can't even imagine. But
Yeah,
but that's actually the focus that I'm trying to get this channel toward is telling those individual stories of heroism like that. I started this kind of inspired. I started this whole journey inspired by the Ghost of Kiev story, and it turns out that I have connections myself into that story. Some I can talk about, some I can't. But telling the individual stories of the pilots involved with that has been inspiring. But there's also the people like your people that are going into these war zones just trying to give help. It's not just a story of warriors, but it's just a story of courage all around.
And that's what I tell my American friends who, oh, there's too much corruption or blah, blah, blah. It's like, this is not about the government. It's about the Ukrainian people here, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're good, God-fearing people that they have this independent country only for 32 years, 33 years, whatever it is. Give them time to develop and work it out. The people here are really educated. I'm really impressed with them. They're hardworking, right? The average person starts at, I had a meeting earlier this morning, and it was about 7:30 in the morning. The waiters were there at this restaurant, and they're starting work at 7:30. They're going to work till about 10:30 tonight, right? These people work hard. They just want a chance for freedom and to raise their families and to have peace. And my God, we can't stand with people like that. I mean, how many conflicts have we been in where, was there corruption? Probably everything we've been involved in, anybody has been. So if we can't stand with these people who are defending Europe and not asking us to die for them, they just have to help us with the weapons. We're outgunned. We're outmanned. We don't need you to come here. Just send us some weapons. We will do the work, right? How could we not support that? I don't get it.
I've had conversations that drifted from Ukraine, and suddenly we're talking about the Middle East and how tribal those situations were, and people. Me being an Air Force guy who served in Iraqi freedom and enduring freedom, I remember joining those conflicts, and there were questionable reasons for joining one of them, maybe even both of them. But people were largely behind it, and I think as long as the Afghanistan campaign lasted, that people draw comparisons, and they're uneducated comparisons, because they think all you have to do is have a propaganda campaign from the opposite side that says this is too complicated. You don't understand the ethnic disputes that are going on here, and it'll just be just like another Afghanistan if you get involved. Even with equipment or whatever. And that is what I'm struggling to find debate points for, of how that can't be farther from the truth. But really the best way is just to meet people who've actually been there, like you, I think, and see them and talk to them. So I think that's a very important point. That's what I was going to say. I still, as an Air Force guy, I look at the tactical situation, and there were a couple opportunities. Ben and I were talking about this, where you could have thrown full support behind Ukraine. One of them was the Prigozhin revolt. And I don't want to hindsight 2020 things too much, but if you really wanted to, you could still close the sky as Zelensky had originally wanted to do, in my opinion. So I think that's the one way that you would become physically involved, but you wouldn't need troops on the ground. So
agreed.
So
close the skies would be a good thing.
Well, and it would allow you guys to get in there and give humanitarian aid to those areas. So so that is where we're working towards here, but the American public needs to be informed to do that, because even on the Republican side, there's I think Congress and the Senate they're more inclined to help Ukraine than not, and go all out. There's guys that I'm not going to get too much into American politics, that they're just trying to survive the current political situation, which I don't think anyone will. But but if they knew they had the American people behind them, they would push for it even harder. Right now, they're just trying to keep aid going.
And I think the Europeans are stepping up. They realize it's a pretty imminent threat, so it seems like are doing more.
And I think that has surprised. That's why I think this meeting between Trump and Putin is ultimately going to be meaningless, because those two think that the world won't do anything without the blessing of the U.S. But I'm thinking they're starting to see that, we'll move on without you guys if we need to. So.
I think they understand they need to, especially countries like Poland and Finland and Estonia. I think the Poles are pretty well equipped, sounds like. So They're certainly not in fear of the Russian military, I don't believe.
Right. So the I think I have a connection into a trade partner who owns a big shipping company that needs to get in and out of the Black Sea. It, have you, from Odessa, has it been apparent that the retreat of the Russian Navy has helped supplies for your organization, that kind of thing?
Oh, I don't think it affected us.
Okay.
We buy everything locally. We think the best way is to get a grant and spend it locally, because it's a dual benefit, because we're helping the economy and then we deliver it for free to the users. But the port's open. I mean, it's obviously restricted. There's not a lot of ships, but there is ships coming in and out occasionally. So they have some, grain channel to export grain, Ukrainian grain products to the rest of the world. So that's been open, but a busy day might be 10 ships. That's about it.
Okay. And that, how was that compared to before the war?
It was quite a bit more before. Sure, certainly. Yeah. It would be many multiples of that. And also there's two of the biggest ports I think are barely, one, I'm not even sure it's operational. The other one is barely operational. So there's a port right here in Odessa proper. There's two ports, north and south, that are much bigger, that are way underutilized, and one might be completely shut. So it could be a lot more. It's trucks. Everything's done by trucks now. It's hard to get around on the roads because there's millions of trucks going to the borders, to Moldova, to Romania, to Poland. So depending on when you're going, they flood the roads.
Some of the organizations I've seen have been requesting vehicles and things of that nature. Does UAO need that kind of thing? I'm going to put it back on.
We don't need vehicles. We were donated an ambulance by a British charity early in the war. We really didn't need it. Once we couldn't have doctors, we gave it up to somebody else. But we contract out now. There's small little companies that contract out their drivers to take us to our village trips. So we don't really have a problem with transport. I know there's groups that are doing vehicles for military, in particular, for some of maybe the health groups that are doing evacuations and what have you, but that's not really what we do. So we're not really impacted by that.
Okay. Let's see. I'm just kind of browsing your website here. Valentina, where is she from? She's one of the grandmothers you're talking about, maybe.
I don't remember specific. Maybe Kherson. I don't remember exactly.
Okay. You've got some of these individual stories on here. This is giveuao.org, by the way. I really want to stress where people can help you out.
We don't have as much content on the site. My social media, I have on Instagram, for instance, I have 17,000 posts. So I have a lot of videos of us, our trips, some of the more interesting places, some of the more dangerous places, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that we're helping. At any one point, we were helping maybe 1,000 people a month. And again, this is specifically with prescription medications, which the reason why nobody does it, it's a lot more difficult, because we have to go to this village. We have to get a Ukrainian doctor prescription from the people. We have to get all their passport documentation, everything else. We have to do all the note taking, all the reporting on that. Then we have to come back to Odessa and buy that specific medication. Then we have to go back to that village and give it to them directly. So everything is documented, it's reported, everything is done by us hand to hand. So, the WHO thing, they wanted to give a over-the-counter kit of, aspirin and things, which, okay, everybody wants one, but they didn't need one. So we just gave them that. Thank you. But, that's not really what they need. So, and they do that because it's a lot easier, right? You can buy 10,000 first aid kits and then give them out. But it's a lot harder to buy 10,000 prescriptions of specific people, right?
Right. No, that I can't even imagine. So, yeah, over-the-counter medication is good, but and then you have to know which prescriptions go to which person of 10,000 people too.
Yep. So it's a lot of note taking. It's a lot of documentation. It's a lot of reporting. Our office is just stacked with reporting for the donors and for the Ukrainian government. We have to do both. So it's very laborious, but again, that's what people need. So that's what we do. There's a lot of people doing food, a lot of people doing, various other things.
There's a section in your website here on mental services and gender-based violence as well, combating those.
Yeah, the gender-based violence was what was mandated in our WHO grant. We had to do something about gender-based violence. So that's not something we normally do. The handicap stuff, the disabled stuff, all that we do continuously. We have a lot of good programs.
Okay. Well, I mean, you were required to, but have you seen a lot of gender-based violence based on
no,
in these villages? Oh, okay.
Not really, but it's something that the UN and the WHO really emphasize. It's part of their emphasis, part of their, I don't know, what they want to enforce or emphasize and put a lot of effort into.
What I am the cases that I'm informed about on gender-based violence, the victims did not survive those encounters. So unfortunately, but that is a real thing that happened, in particular in the first days of the invasion. But children are being kidnapped, and I'm sure a lot of that is still going on where nobody can get to. But I wonder. I suppose that so. But is there a mental health equation to your organization then?
Yeah, I think that's a big emphasis ongoing. Obviously, there's a lot of people who are going to have mental or do have mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of, we just lump it all into inclusion. It's going to be programs about people who are struggling with a disability of some sort, right? Be it mental health or physical disability, whatever. But obviously, there's a lot of people impacted. Imagine the children growing up with drone strikes and ballistic missiles, and I mean, even me, feeling somewhat fatigued by it. It's definitely impacted a lot of people, and it's going to have an effect, I think, for a long time.
Yeah, and we were talking about ultimately the winner of this conflict, winner, quote unquote. There are no winners coming out of this Putin instigated conflict, but
right.
Is going to be the one with more resilience. Is going to be the one that is never going to back down, because historically, even really World War I, people sometimes compare the combat to World War I. It's really not. There happens to be trenches, but but in a war like that, where nobody's going to outmaneuver the other one without air support, which is why I like to I'll probably talk every podcast about combating propaganda, air support, and because ultimately I think getting the F-16s and things like that are a step in the right direction. But before I get off on a tangent, the point I'm making here is that World War I was won by the people that didn't lose their nerve first, and I don't see the Ukrainian people losing their nerve at all, despite the getting kind of old, as you put it. The resilience underneath is still like steel. Would you agree?
100%. There's no give up here. The people are tremendously resilient. It's amazing to me, right? To be going through this everywhere. There's no give up to it. It's not for fear that anything's going to happen here. People are not going to be afraid to go out and live their lives and as much as possible. But they'll never give up. That's for sure.
Well, thank you, Michael, for meeting with me. I think that's a good note to end it on, is that the resilient, we need help, and UAO is doing a lot to help. That's the Ukrainian Assistance Organization. There's a couple of organizations with the same. Is there anything else you'd like to let people know about how they can give, how they can find you?
Any social media, the website. Any help is appreciated.
Does the website connect to other social medias?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It might to our UAO, because the UAO has a Instagram, but I just have a lot more content up there if people are really interested in seeing what it looks like, because I film everything we do, and I try to get a lot of the people that we see. I just think it's good to have real documentation, but also to see in Kherson with stuff blowing up around you, people appreciate what's really going on.
Right. Yeah. That documentary, I hope, I share that every time. It's HersonHumanSafari.com. You can watch it for free, so that you know what we're trying to get medicine to. There's going to be, we'll make people aware of more screenings of that. But I've got the UAO Instagram here. Is yours just under your name, Michael?
Yeah, it's just my name.
Okay. I got to spell correctly. Sometimes that's a challenge for me. Okay, here we go. There's a couple of them. Probably the one followed by Give UAO.
Yeah,
There we are. Okay, so Michael Scolari on Instagram.
Yeah.
If you're watching the video presentation of that, you've got some of the arts.
I got big supporter of the ballet and opera companies here. It's a fantastic theater, back to a full schedule. So they must have some confidence in things because they're full schedule and almost normal time for performances, and it's good to see it. It's encouraging.
That is good to see, and what you'll notice, I keep promoting this documentary, but that in between there is a dance theme. Every time I watch something on Ukraine, not just this particular instance. If you're watching a full documentary, you'll see the arts in play. Like you were saying, they're an educated folks that just want the freedom, but the arts is a place that you can see that for sure.
Very much a part of their culture. They really appreciate it.
There's the beaches of Odessa. Yeah, I'm really going to go through this, and I hope other people do too. Follow you on Instagram and mark Give UAO on your favorites for your browsers. So I'm sure every little bit helps.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Every little bit of help with granny.
Thank you, Michael. And I will let you know when we edit out all the technical difficulties. I'll let you know when this is up and running. So.
And I hope you can make it to Odessa sometime. It's actually a beautiful city.
So I definitely want to come at some point soon.
Anyway. We'll show you around.
Appreciate it.